It provided a unifying vision for America going forward. I'm excited because we're going to start to put into action a plan on COVID. We're going to focus on immigration reform, creating real pathways to citizenship. We're going to bring America back into the Paris Climate Accord agreement. We're going to do away with some of the damaging executive orders that have hurt the environment. We're going to provide immediate assistance to people around the country and address the minority communities that were often the first hit by this economic turmoil and the health disparities that are happening across the country. So I think it's really setting the tone for an American comeback story.
I will give you this. That was a very unifying speech. It was a great, well written and well delivered speech. I give you that. Hey, Marcus, you mentioned about the first 100 days, and you mentioned the immigration policy. You know, we're watching a caravan of people coming from Guatemala being stopped at the border at Mexico. If they end up getting through, what should Joe Biden do if a big, massive caravan of illegals coming across the border? What's Joe Biden going to do with that?
I think he should do what American presidents have done in the past, and that's create a real pathway to citizenship. We need to put a halt on deportations and ensure that going forward, there's a real means by which people can pursue and attain the American dream. That hasn't been the case before with past administrations, Democrat or Republican, but now the stage is set, and we have an opportunity to treat people humanely and provide them access to this American dream we're also privileged and fortunate to have.
I got you. So anyone who's here, you know, there's the dreamers and whatnot. They're here. There's a path to citizenship under a Biden immigration plan. But I'm talking about what happens if 50 or 100,000 or 200,000 people start coming across our border. Should we open the door and let them come in?
I think as long as we're setting forth clear rules and regulations by which people can become citizens, we're not going to put them into a precarious position. But it also means that we need to focus across the border on Mexico and ensure that there is a decent and, in fact, good quality of life for people who want to be able to build themselves up economically and not have to come to America, but instead choose to come to America if they can provide value, as many immigrants do. So I think we should focus on the positive that they can bring and support our neighbors across the border.
Okay, but and again, I'm still asking about what happens if we get flooded from our southern border, because that's a lot of resources. You have to, you know, if you're just going to let them in, you have to provide health care, you have to provide schooling sometimes for a long period of time. And by the way, Marcus, $27 trillion in debt. We're broke. We don't really have the funds to do that. Let's move on, though. It's not an immigration talk today. Trump's legacy. Your thought about a minute or so.
I think, in spite of the few things that he did well, he continued Obama's strong economy in America. Operation Warp Speed was no doubt a resounding success. I think he was truly sincere about the criminal justice reforms that he's invested in. However, overall, he was pretty awful at serving the American people. He presided over a horrible immigration regime. He put into place the Muslim ban. He encouraged insurrectionists and traitors to the United States to attack the halls of Congress and members therein. And he consistently spewed xenophobic and racist remarks while focusing on personal enrichment with his hotel in DC. So overall, this is a shameful legacy. And this is going to be the start of an American comeback story focused on our decency, our shared values, and unifying people across the aisle, as Joe Biden clearly laid out in his speech.
Interesting you say that. Interesting you say that. And I'm going to do this throughout the show, talk to people on the left about that. I hear people on the left, I hear news reporters on the left saying anyone who is working for Trump should be unemployable. Anyone who was pro-Trump. One, Don Lemon said, if you voted for Trump, you're a racist. I got 20 seconds, Marcus. Do you agree with that mentality?
I think it depends on what people did in the role they played in the administration. Again, there were a few highlights. I think the strong economy that presided through the first 3+ years of the presidency, Operation Warp Speed. I mean, kudos and hats off to everyone who was a part of that. I think the criminal justice reform work has been brilliant, but people who are in other parts of the administration, certainly in immigration and homeland security, in defending the American people here locally, they did not do a great job. So I think people should be judged on the merits of what occurred in their specific part of the American government. I wouldn't just paint a broad brush over people just because they were part of his admin.
There we go. I'm going to leave it right there, Marcus Goodwin. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.